I used to think the scariest day of my life would be the day I became a single mom. But looking back, I didn't really become a single mom when I got divorced. I realized I had been living like one for a very long time. I just still had a husband in the house. If you're terrified that you can't do this on your own, that you don't know how you're going to manage all these things, how are you going to juggle it all? If you're concerned about that, I want to challenge that thought today, because you may be doing far more on your own than you even realize. Now, let me say this. Let me give this disclaimer. This video is not to influence anyone to leave their marriage. This is not to convince you that you don't need Craig and you can do it on your own. That's not what this video is about. This video is to encourage moms who have become single mothers, who are divorced, maybe even separated or thinking about divorce. And the main thing that's really weighing them down is trying to figure out, how am I going to do this all by myself? You may be doing it all by yourself and you don't even realize it. And have you ever taken the time to think that maybe if I wasn't carrying this weight or this additional baggage, that it may even seem easier as a single mom? It's just a thought. I remember when I was contemplating divorce and I hadn't made a decision yet, and I was on the fence on should I stay or should I go. I was really terrified that, how am I going to do all of this by myself? How am I going to raise these kids, manage the bills, take care of the home, and manage my emotions, because I knew there was going to be a lot of grief involved. How am I going to manage my emotions and show up as a great mother? The fear was real and it was paralyzing. It caused me to stay in this fawning phase where I didn't really know which way to go. So I just waited. I just sat and I just waited. I didn't know what I was going to do because I was questioning this very thought. How am I going to do this all by myself? Then the realization came. Not until I left though. But the realization came that, wait, not much has changed. Once I got divorced, I was still showing up for the doctor's appointments. I was still the only one going to the parent-teacher conferences. I was still the one showing up for the PTA. I was still the one making all the practices, making sure my son got to basketball practice and my daughter got to ballet. I was still that person. So then I thought to myself, wait a minute. You spent all that time in freeze mode when you were doing it the entire time. When I realized I had the capacity the whole entire time, it really empowered me to stand up in my strength and own it. So I can admit, a lot did change after divorce, but a lot didn't. So during my marriage, I very much operated like a single mother within the marriage. And I did share that with my now ex-husband when I was married. And it was because I felt like I was doing a lot. The workload was not evenly distributed at all. It really hit me after separation and divorce, when I realized a lot of people never really asked me where my spouse was. And when they found out that I was divorced, no one really knew because nothing really looked different. When me and the kids would go out to the park, or we would go to Urban Air, or we just hanging out, or I'm going to visit a friend, or we're doing a play date, my ex-husband was never with us when we went out in public like that. So even after divorce, it was the same. And it really hit me when people were like, oh, we didn't even know you divorced? Girl, I had no idea. And it was because from the outside, even within the marriage, from the outside looking in, I looked very single anyway. Okay, and it wasn't because I was out flirting with guys, or I was bar hopping or going to clubs. It was nothing like that. It was because I was often alone. Out with the kids, I was alone. Out by myself, I was alone. A lot of people didn't see us together even when we were married. So I thought that, it sounds crazy now. So I think about it. So for me to really be fawning over whether or not I'll be able to do this on my own was pretty wild because I was doing a lot on my own anyway. Another moment of realization for me was when I would go out on my own after divorce. I would go out for dinner, or I would go to listen to live music or something like that. I realized I'm so comfortable because I was used to doing this when I was married. A lot of times I would go on solo dates while I was married. I would take myself out. And it was really because there was a lack of effort in that area within the relationship. So I started showing up for myself even while I was married. So after divorce, it wasn't that big of a difference for me to go to a restaurant alone. It wasn't a huge shock for me to go to a live show by myself. It's like, you know. But it took for me to come out of the relationship to realize that, oh, I had the capacity all the time. I was scared for no reason. And I'm going to say this again, I'm not trying to convince anyone to leave their marriage. I'm not promoting divorce. I'm here to encourage the women who are feeling like they cannot do this by themselves, because I'm here to tell you that you can. And if you really take a close look at your situation, you may realize you've been doing a lot alone, sis. You are capable. You are strong enough. You have it already. So whatever you're looking for through listening to podcasts, to reading books, you already have it. You already got the juice, sis. I promise you. The divorce did not teach me how to be independent. It showed me that I was already independent. That I was already solo parenting. That I could do this. Sometimes you can feel alone before you're ever really alone. A lot of married women are suffering from invisible single motherhood. Nobody sees them as a single mother, but they feel it. They carry the weight of it, but they're married. They're usually the default parent. They're the ones that knows all the kids' shoe sizes, including his. They're the ones who are keeping up with everybody's doctor's appointments, dental appointments, school appointments, basketball games, schedule. They're usually the one in the relationship carrying the emotional labor. They remember to sign the permission slips. They remember to schedule the haircuts and the hairstyles. They remember that this week is Spirit Week, so we need 3 different costumes for this week. Let me get on Amazon. They're the parent that's usually preparing for parent-teacher conferences. It's Teacher Appreciation Week. What are we getting the teachers? They're the parent that has to think for everyone in the household. And that is an invisible load that usually falls on the invisible single mother. When I was in this type of dynamic, I would look at it like a badge of honor. I'm the mom doing all the things. Dun 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 dun. I'm the strong mom. But as I've come out of that, I've realized that that is not something to be proud of. That is not something that I should feel like I need a gold star for. That's not okay. It should not be that way. I am not trying to celebrate carrying everything within a household. No mom should have to feel that level of pressure, because that is not what you signed up for. However, I'm just simply sharing my experience and recognizing that I survived it. And as a result, I am this amazing solo mom that I am today. If you're in a similar situation, or you've just come out of a situation where you've had to carry it all, sis, I'm here to let you know that in solo motherhood, you are capable. Because you were already doing it, friend. Okay? So there was a situation a couple months ago where my kid's father asked me, how much is the kid's tuition? And when is their tuition payment due? Now, that may sound like, okay, yeah. But y'all, my kids have been going to the same school since they were 3 and 5. They're now 9 and 7. And they are at the same exact school. The tuition is the same exact thing it's always been, and it's been due on the same day since they were 3 and 5. Now they're 9 and 7. And he asked me 3 months ago, how much is their tuition and when is it due, for the very first time. And that's just one story where I was smacked in my face with the reality that you were doing this by yourself. You were doing it by yourself, girl. That's just one story I just thought I'd share to give you guys an understanding of what I'm saying. The truth of the matter is, I was going back and forth on whether to stay or go because I didn't want to accept the reality that I had been alone the whole entire time. I didn't want to accept the reality that I had been in a situationship of sorts and not a marriage. And I had to eat that because those were choices I made. And I think the reason why I was fawning for so long is because I wanted to accept a different reality. I wasn't ready for radical acceptance that this is what I chose. This was the choice that I made for me. Because why would I do that? But I had to accept that reality. And that's what I was trying to avoid. I can't admit a lot did change after divorce, but not in the way that you think it did. I actually had less anxiety. And it wasn't because divorce is easy and it was a breeze for me. Not at all. I grieved and continue to grieve at times just like any other woman who's experienced divorce. But I had less anxiety because it was less back and forth. I had clarity. I had arrived at a decision. That's why I had less anxiety. Not because all the bills were getting paid with ease. Not because I had everything figured out and I was on top of the world. Or now I can go out with my girls and turn up because I'm divorced. That's not why. It was because I was no longer on the fence about my worth. I stopped questioning what I deserved. And I had come to a decision that I deserve God's best in every area of my life. No exceptions. The unpredictability came to an end. The emotional tug of war ended. I could finally build on a solid foundation where knowing what I deserve and knowing my worth and loving myself to the fullest was the foundation. Peace doesn't always come because life gets easier. Divorce did not make my life easier. Sometimes peace comes because life gets honest. I was finally honest with myself on the choices that I made and how they affected my life and my kids' lives. I forgave myself. I was able to build on a foundation made out of self-awareness, self-love, and radical acceptance. And because I was able to start building on a solid foundation with those 3 main components, it changed everything for me. Surprisingly, budgeting became easier for me. I had less anxiety around how bills were going to get paid as a single mom. Planning became easier because I didn't have to walk on eggshells on whether or not I wanted to have lunch with a friend or worry about, okay, well, is he going to be upset because I want to do this instead of do that for the holiday? I didn't have that anxiety around those things anymore in making plans. So that got easier. My relationship with God got easier. I didn't feel like I had to hide how much I wanted to be in my word. I didn't feel like I had to kind of dumb down my relationship with God to make the person I was with feel more comfortable. I could go to church as much as I wanted to. Simple as that. If I wanted to be on a Zoom call, a prayer meeting, and we going up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I could do that with no reservation. Okay? I could wake up at 3 a.m. and get up and walk around my house and pray if I wanted to. Because now I'm in my own space. I have freedom in Christ on a whole nother level. If I wanted to fast, I could fast and not have to explain why I'm making fruits and veggies this week because I'm fasting. You know what I mean? And I didn't have to worry about not having the support from my spouse in that, or not feeling like, well, I still got to get up and cook a full on dinner even though I'm fasting and I'm not eating that this week. My relationship with God grew in ways that I never would have imagined. I got to know God in a completely different way. It wasn't a performance-based relationship anymore. It shifted to me embracing the grace of God, because what I needed was grace. I needed grace because once I accepted the decisions I made and how things played out, and how I did not want to get a divorce ever in life. That was never a part of my plan. So I needed to accept the forgiveness of God, and that was being blocked by shame, condemnation. I can't accept that free gift of forgiveness if I'm walking in condemnation. So experiencing divorce made me get to know God in a completely different way. His love for us, his love for you, sis, is bigger than you can even imagine. It's bigger than you can even wrap your mind around. And it doesn't make sense. So stop trying to make it make sense. His love for us does not make sense. But it's true. If you're watching this and you're wondering if I'm strong enough, I don't think I could do this, I don't know how I'm going to make it, and you're feeling hopeless and you're feeling tired already, and you haven't even started yet, I want to remind you, sis, that strength is not something that just arrives after you get a divorce. Once you sign the paper, you don't get a cape at the signing and it's like, oh, I'm Superwoman now. It doesn't happen like that. You got to go through the process. You have to learn. It's like starting all over from scratch. It's something you've probably already been exercising way before the divorce came. And some of you that are watching, maybe you're not divorced. Maybe you're happily divorced. Maybe you're just trying to survive co-parenting. Wherever you are in your journey, I hope today that you stop looking at yourself as weak. Stop looking at yourself as incapable. You have the capacity. You've had the capacity. I think that you've been carrying more than you even realize. I think that you're sleeping on yourself, to be honest. And I think that you're going to look back and see how strong you've been in the past and realize that you got that same strength right now today. Was there ever a moment where you realized, I've actually been doing this on my own this whole time? I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Please share, because I feel like if other women who are watching this video see other people share their stories in the comments, they will be encouraged and empowered, and that'll give them that extra nudge on their journey as well. Let's build a community. Let's be there for each other. Share your stories. Don't be scared. I feel like this video would encourage another woman on a similar journey. Please share this with her. And again, I'm going to say this over and over again, because I do believe in marriage. I believe marriage is created by God. I feel like it's a beautiful thing when it's done right. Okay? Marriage can be the most beautiful thing and the most devastating thing if it's not done the right way. I support marriage. I love what marriage represents. I feel like God ordained marriage, but also there are broken marriages out there. There are people who are in dynamics that are stripping them as people. So my video here is to encourage those women, not to encourage women to leave their marriages. You go to God about that, sis. You go to God about that. You seek the Lord. But I am here to encourage those who are on this journey and they feel hopeless and they feel like they can't do this. Yes, you can, because you already have. You got this, girl. Like, subscribe, and share. Love y'all. See y'all in the next video. Peace.